Hello everyone, welcome back to Durbanites FPL Game Week 22 review, Game Week 23 preview. In a crazy prolonged week, it's so strange, but let us start again with the table at the top. Now it is RoboKlopp still there, but just under 100 points. So things are getting good. Zakia making a big move up the table. Now in second place, 11 clear of third and fourth, and a little bit more from fifth, but it is still very tight at the top. This week, only 3 teams managing to clear the 50 mark, including one of our champions there, Fatality, now on 11th, tantalizingly close to breaking into the first page again. Let's see how that works out. The other champ not doing too well. They're struggling a little bit, 26 this week, but as you can see, it is still very tight, even in the second page. A lot of fighting still to be done. Now, with that, let us go through and look at the player selections. Erling Haaland has some company finally with his return from injury and great returns. Gabriel Marquez is back in the staples. So far, 12 out of the 20 managers have him on their team. Definitely a big pick going into the end of the season. Looking at Arsenal's fixtures as well, a pretty good chance that he will return most matches, if not on clean sheets and at least on DEFCON. And of course, he always has a scoring threat from set pieces. This week, the differentiators were all from the back line. Mats Sells from Nottingham Forest, Robert Sanchez, 20% of the managers scoring from him, all going to double figures, and Patrick Dorgu, the hero of the Manchester Derby, scoring, getting a clean sheet, getting bonus points. 3 out of 20 managers having him and really helping them in this week as well. So when we look at the hits and misses, we can see 5 managers going into 30 plus points for the Iron Walls. That's Zaks, Didi, Mohamed Sadiq, Mohamed Amin, and Ansu, and then a lot of Stonewalls as well. Suat, myself, Azra, Fatih, Hassan, Kai, Ami, and as usual. So defense very big, very slim pickings from midfield guys, and almost nothing from the forwards as well. Hot bench this week goes to Squidge, 19 plus sitting on the bench, including a defender, if you can believe that. So let's look at what that meant for our best team selection. Robert Sanchez definitely getting the number 1 jersey by a single point from Matt Sells. Chaloba Dogu with the captain's armband yet again, 15 points for him, doubled. Tarkowski, Tor, and Saliba. Tavernier, Palmer, Mbumo, and Enzo. No place for Gabriel, only because of his price. He's super pricey, so not able to knock out Chaloba, Tarkowski, and Saliba from that lineup. On the midfield, as you can see, Tavernier, who's now injured, unfortunately, Palmer, Mbumo, and Enzo. João Pedro, the only forward that could make it on the field. Everyone's very, very slim pickings of the bench, except for Sells. This team would have got you 114 and 134 with the bench boost, total cost of 92.6. Now, if we look at that, let's look at the transfers, guys. We have 1 more week left in the transfer window until Saturday next week when it officially closes. Of all the changes, the only other change here is that Jack Harrison has moved from Leeds to Fiorentina. Great move for him. And Iten Mareri has also moved to Olympique Marseille, so not getting enough game time at Arsenal. Arsenal do have a packed squad, so now time for them to have to let some youngsters go out, and so he's going to Olympique Marseille. Looking at the transfers in, only Spurs making some moves in this last week. Of course, we spoke about Conor Gallagher, and now confirming the signing of a young left back called Sousa, coming from Santos to Tottenham. Not sure if he'll get a full-time play in this season, but definitely one for the future. There are a few other changes brewing in the space as well, but for that we'll talk about interleague moves, guys. Here we have Semenyo, we know about that change, Bonanote as well, Johnson, and we're talking about the Gehi move last week. It is now confirmed. Gehi is a Manchester City player and might debut for them this week. Now, interestingly, when we're talking about interleague moves, there's also some rumors floating around that Andy Robertson could make a January transfer move from Liverpool to Tottenham Hotspur, because he's just not getting game time at Liverpool currently, and Tottenham Hotspur definitely looking for experienced Premier League defenders. They do have some defenders on the young side. It's not really working out well for Spurs right now, so they're looking to bolster their squad. And the other one that is coming, which is probably more fantasy than reality, but it's good to talk about it. Apparently, Cole Palmer's performances have been dwindling because he is getting homesick, a little far away from Manchester that he's used to, and so possibly looking for a move back to Manchester. And if he does, it now looks like the leaders for getting his signature are Manchester United and not Manchester City. Quite interesting to see how that might work out. It is only rumors, guys, but rumors that have come through from three fairly reliable sources. Now, I'm not sure if that would be a January move or something in the summer. Quite interesting to see if that develops. So, guys, let's look at the matchups for the next 10 weeks. Starting off with those teams that we identified. So Aston Villa and Newcastle, as you can see, going up against each other this week. Got some tricky fixtures coming up in the next 10. If you look at it, all of them still winnable, but again, it's going to be a bit of a fight. And with the league being so close as it is, not sure how that's going to come out. Crystal Palace, on the other hand, look at their fixtures as well. They have a big issue. They lost Eze in the last transfer window. They lost now Mark Gahey in this window, so their captain's gone. The manager has now come out and said that he's definitely not signing a renewal at Crystal Palace. He will go at the latest in the summer. And now it looks like Jean-Philippe Mateta is also looking to move to the club. So quite some tricky times coming up for Crystal Palace. Not sure where they're going to find their rhythm from. Liverpool as well, you can see some tricky games coming up against them also. Newcastle, Manchester City is in there. Also Spurs towards the end of that run. Sunderland away, not easy games. They are unbeaten in 13, but that doesn't mean that they've won all 13, so just be very aware of that. Looking at teams to target, Arsenal for sure. They have qualified in the Champions League, so they have the opportunity now to actually make a great run in the league and the cups domestically until the playoffs are done. They don't need to win another game in the Champions League at this moment in time. Bournemouth have a tricky one against Liverpool, but after that, some fairly good games. As you can see, a lot will depend on Marcus Tavernier coming back. He's the penalty taker after they lost Antoine Semenyo, so they are struggling a little bit in attacking players. Chelsea have fantastic games on paper. Cole Palmer is slightly injured, so not sure how that will work. They're looking at giving him a run and maybe a few minutes this week. But you've also got options in Alejandro Garnacho. You also got options there of Neto. Maybe if you want to go with Enzo, but definitely some good winnable games for Chelsea if they want to make a run for it. Man City, them being Man City, they are quite looking for blood this weekend after losing the Bodo Glimt. So if I was Wolves, I would watch out. But as you can see, some very winnable games for them. Some tricky ones in the middle as well. But if they're going to keep the chase, they're going to pick up the pace as well. With Spurs, you can see also some good games coming ahead. But this week specifically against Burnley, chance for them to score, chance for them to show that flair they showed against Borussia Dortmund in the Champions League. And let's see if they can get some goals. Dom Solanke is back. He got 30 minutes last week. Possibly he could get more this week. Richarlison is still out. So look at him trying to lead the line this week and possibly get a few against Burnley. And then Sunderland as well. You can see some good games, some tricky ones mixed in the middle there. But they are always good for DEFCON. Their defenders are really up there as well as their goalkeeper. So don't count them out even against Arsenal, Liverpool, Bournemouth. They have been quite the bulky team this year. Now, with that, let's look at the selections. On the back line, the only goalkeeper with some issues is Emilio Martinez. He has some issues and is slightly doubtful for Aston Villa, but our picks for this week are Roofs from Sunderland and Sanchez from Chelsea, especially for a slightly longer term. A lot of issues with injuries, as you can see. Chelsea with Colwell still out, Arsenal still waiting to confirm on Calafiori and Hincapié's availability. Burn looks like he's on the way back after that heavy collision a few weeks ago. Livramento and Schur, though, are out for Newcastle. Diaz and Guardiola out for Manchester City. And Nunes is doubtful. So what that means, guys, is that Mark Gahey is almost guaranteed to make his debut for Manchester City against Wolves. So watch out for that. And then you've got, of course, Munoz on his way back for Crystal Palace, but still doubtful at this moment in time. Same as Jared Branthwaite. It couldn't have come at a better time. He might get a run this week because Michael Keane is still suspended. And Ibrahima Konate unfortunately lost his father, so he has gone back to France currently and is not going to be available for the game this week. His mark is highly doubtful in the event that he returns, but just so we understand that he has lost his father. Then in terms of the picks for defenders, so we've got Collins at Brentford. He's been doing really well, returning week after week, and a chance for him to do it again this week. And then you've got Gabriel and Timber at Arsenal. Saliba's not a bad pick as well if you're looking in the slightly lower price range, but these are the two that we'll call out. Van de Ven from Spurs is still the man to watch until he possibly goes to Liverpool. Waiting to hear more about that. And then Malik Tor for Newcastle has been the standout defender. The new joiner has had a fantastic debut season so far. Definitely one to watch for Newcastle. Matty Cash from Aston Villa has been good and has a good attacking threat as well. Tarkowski from Everton. Mukiele and Alderete, take your choice from Sunderland. I wouldn't double up on them, but definitely one of them is good as a rotation option. And Trevor Chalobah from Chelsea, especially with the game score, guys. But he has had a stunning season for those that have held him from week one. Really, really good returns almost all the time from Trevor Chalobah, so don't expect him to be dropped from that Chelsea lineup anytime soon. Now looking into the midfield, still some injuries, especially Spurs still struggling with Madison and Francesco out for the longer term, and Kudu still doubtful to start, so not sure how they're going to get their attacking threat. Lucas Bergvall, for those who are following him as well, looks like he is now injured and joining that long injury list. They are looking for attacking options. I'm not sure whether they will go into the market to find them. Elanga still doubtful for Newcastle, Murphy as well. Palmer still doubtful for Chelsea. Bruno Guimaraes now has picked up an ankle injury. He wants to play, according to Eddie Howe. He's quite desperate to play, but they will assess him later. So not sure whether he's a banker for this week. Marcus Tavernier, after a performance that managed to get him a goal last week, unfortunately has damaged his hamstring and could be out for at least a month. Jack Grealish picked up a knock on his ankle, and Dewsbury Hall is still out. Now looking at the picks, Rodgers is the pick for Aston Villa. John McGuinness also picked up an injury last week, so he is definitely out. Antoine Semenyo for Manchester City is probably the best attacking threat. Shirky and Reinders have dried up again after a small burst. Not sure if you guys are still taking a chance on them. Bruno Guimaraes is still the call out from Newcastle. He's been the most reliable point scorer. He's still up there in the top 5 for midfielders. Not sure how you guys feel about him and whether you will take a chance based on the fact that he could be doubtful. From Arsenal, take your pick, guys. Rice, Saka, Trossard. Trossard always doubtful with minutes. Saka has been rested in the Champions League, so chances that he will play in the next 3 or 4 matches in the Premier League to try and make sure that Arsenal can run away, and Declan Rice is so pivotal in that field. I would definitely bank on him. Szoboszlai and Words at Liverpool, great showing in win over Olympique Marseille in the Champions League, so let's see if they can make that any better. Dango Otara's back from AFCON, and some great fixtures coming up for Brentford, so look at Kevin Schade and Dango to try and make those goals for Thiago up front. Pascal Gross already getting a bonus point in one of his few games back for Brighton. Definitely want to pick as a rotation option. He's such a great goal scorer for Brighton in the seasons that he's been with them. Definitely a pick that you might want to look at. Palmer's in there for Chelsea, of course, even though he's doubtful. He's definitely one that you want to have if you look at the fixtures for the next couple of weeks. And then, of course, you've got Alejandro Garnacho, who's quite pacey and probably able to dismantle those midfielders that they're going to go up against, so probably torturing the wing backs as well. And then going up to the front as well, Richarlison's out for Spurs, unfortunately. Chris Wood, Muniz, Isak, all long-term issues, and Eddie Nketiah needs to get himself back to full fitness, especially if Jean-Philippe Mateta is going to push for that move. He'll have to leave that line for Crystal Palace. Then you've got our picks, though. Erling Haaland, even though he's blanked many weeks in a row, guys, he's just too dangerous to leave out. With Wolves this week, there's a chance that he's going to go absolutely crazy. Also, there's a chance that he might not play because he's just fatigued at being the number 1 pick, so Marmoush might get a chance. It's all up in the air depending on where you want to go, and if you want to captain him, you think he's a good vice captain. If you're thinking about that, Thiago's not a bad bet going up against Nottingham Forest in their hometown, so Thiago's probably a good option for you to look at. Calvert-Lewin at Leeds, also definitely a performer at this moment in time. Jared Bowen has some good fixtures still coming up. West Ham have just not been firing, but if you have the money and you don't know where to spend it, he might be one that you want to keep as an additional forward. If not, no issues with that. And for Spurs, Solanke might be the one that you're looking at in terms of goal scoring, but Matisse Tal, as you might have heard, has been dropped from the Spurs Champions League squad. I'm sure he's not happy about that, so I'm not sure how that is playing out in the local team, but it is possible they will then use him more extensively in the league to try and solidify their performance up front. All very difficult to tell, guys. It's a big week with Arsenal at home to Manchester United, a Manchester United team that knocked Manchester City quite badly last week in a game that could have been much bigger than 2-0. Definitely looking a bit more structured and rampant with Michael Carrick at the wheel. Arsenal are not one to be toyed with, but there's probably going to be a big game, a repeat of game week 1 when Manchester United hosted Arsenal. These are old rivals, guys, that have been fighting for the Premier League from the late 90s and early 2000s, and also all the controversy over the striker selection between Gyökeres and Sesko, with Sesko originally planning on going to Arsenal and Gyökeres linked heavily with Manchester United. As it turns out, they swapped, and now they're at opposite sides. Let's see who will win this battle of the strikers. So that's all we have for now, guys. Hopefully you are going to enjoy this game week and hopefully get a ton of points. Crucial captaincy selections to look for, and also planning for the next weeks ahead. We're quickly coming into the last 10 weeks of the season, so let's make sure that we're also looking at chip strategies so that we don't waste them, and look at what might happen after the transfer window closes next week. But until then, don't forget to like, subscribe, drop a comment, let us know who will win this match between Arsenal and Manchester United, and also don't forget to click on the notification bell so that you can keep track of our new videos that are released. Until then, so long for now.